Good evening, amazing women of the Women Radio Network and our dear listeners. Welcome to the November Women Engagement Series 2025, proudly brought to you by Women Radio 91.7 FM, Nigeria's only radio station for women and their families, and the Voice of Women Foundation. My name is Olufumilayo Bangbala, and I'll be your host for today's highly informative session on building a better business in the new tax era. I'm going to say that again. Building a better business in the new tax era. As business owners, professionals, entrepreneurs were navigating a period of major tax reforms. Interestingly, just yesterday, I saw somebody tweeting asking if they've started removing tax from our money because apparently she got debited. Yeah, she got a credit alert yesterday and she got two debit alerts from her bank. So me, I was like, maybe it's her own, but then I got credited with money. Somebody sent me, dirty December money. No, I'm joking. Somebody sent me a large sum of money overnight. And I saw that one kind money removed. And I was wondering, which money is this that is removing? So I was just like, okay, we shall be talking about that today. Like I said, we're navigating a period of major tax reforms and evolving financial regulations in Nigeria, changes that directly impact how we operate, how we stay compliant, and how we grow sustainably. So today's session is designed to help you understand these new realities. We'll explore how to strengthen your financial systems, reduce tax-related risks, and structure your business in a way that positions you for long-term success. So whether you run a small business or you're managing a large organization, or maybe you're planning to start one, it is well with you. This webinar is to equip you with the practical tools, practical steps, give you the tools to thrive in this new landscape, this new tax landscape. And we'll also be broadcasting live on Women Radio 91.7 FM. If you have questions, please send your WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537, or you can send us a text to 08155 917 917. Now, a few housekeeping rules because this is important. Please, you need to mute your microphones on this webinar unless you've been called upon to speak. You'd need to also drop your questions in the chat box and then we'll take them during question and answer. Please don't unmute your mics when our guest is speaking. If you're listening on radio, kindly send in your questions by WhatsApp. I just mentioned the WhatsApp number 08155 917 917, or text that same number. The other number to text is 0703 1756 537. It's important that you're respectful in your comments and in your language. Finally, turn off your cameras if you're not dressed appropriately. We don't want to see anything. Okay, with that out of the way, we are going to be welcoming our guest speaker. But before then, we're going to listen to this short message on the Voice of Women conference coming up in October. Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. Let's welcome our guest, Olateju Titilayo Oyelakun, the managing partner at BAO and Co Chartered Accountants. Ladies and gentlemen, Olateju Titilayo Oyelakun, FCA, ACTI. I always like these acronyms, FCA, ACTI. She's the managing partner at BAO and Co, like I said, chartered accountants, a seasoned chartered accountant. She holds a degree in management, accounting, and an MBA from Obafemi Awolowo University. She's a fellow of ICANN, a member of CITN, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. She has strong expertise in taxation, financial reporting, risk management, and business advisory. Olateju leads audit and tax management services as BAO and Co, upholding excellence and integrity. She's married and blessed with children. Today, she will be speaking on, like we said earlier, the topic, building a better business in the new tax era. So, with no much ado, join me in welcoming Olateju Titilayo Oyelakun. You're very welcome, Olateju. Good evening. We're in the evening now. Good evening.
Yes, Olufumilayo. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, my fellow women and men. that are joining or that will join. Thank you for having me. Women Engagement Series, I do not take this for granted. Thank you. Yes, like Olufumilayo said, mentioned, this is a webinar for us to learn, to relearn, to teach ourselves, to understand, comments, ask questions, however, whenever, um, wherever you want, or on whichever topic that pertains to tax. As we know, tax, there's no running. Formula had already prepared the ground for me, so not plenty talk. It is what is necessary, and it has to be doable. Any by crook or by any means, it has come to stay. So there's no running around it. So as we are all business owners, entrepreneurs, we serve we represent a large percentage of um, profit or value driven in this economy. So no economy can thrive without ease or entrepreneurs. So yes, we are we are a large number, anyhow you want to see it. And because this is our business, it's practically our life. So anything that will affect our daily bread, our life as we want to see it, we need to take it serious. And because revenue, tax is one of the revenue generating income for the government. So definitely the government is serious, and let's learn. That's what I can say for now. Thank you. So I can start, right?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Let, thank you. Let's hit the ground running. So, like Fumilayo said, the title or the topic or the subject is building a better business in the new tax era. I just want to lay this or say this, that tax is not vindictive. It is not, government is not looking for to tax poor people again or to make them suffer. What this is, what we are about to talk or discuss, is basically how things have improved, how governments have tried to make life better. So ours is to comply. And how do we comply is what we are learning today. What do we need to do to make it better so that we don't run foul of the law? Because when the law comes down, it comes down with no mercy. We don't want to be in that on the bad side of government. So yes, so what we are discussing is what is tax, definition of taxation, difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance, types, that's the types of taxes, direct and indirect taxes, classes of taxes. We have VAT, which is called value added tax, the short form. WHT is withholding tax. PIT is personal income tax. CGT is capital gains tax. CIT is company income tax. EDT is education tax. Then development levy. Don't be bothered about the plenty jargons. Just flow. Would explain everything. Statutory requirements for business. That's the fourth one. The tax filing. How do we get about it? What are the other things that we need to do? Not only for taxing. There are some statutory requirements that the government frowns at if it is not done by any business. One of them is pension. Another one is NSITF, ITF, registration, deduction, and remittance. So those are all the things we will try and touch on today. Next slide, please. So the definition of terms. We all know what tax is. The layman definition is taxes is administered by government. Shikena, finish. So taxes are compulsory or mandatory contributions levied on individuals, corporations, and companies by governments. So that says it all. So now governments, they administer tax. That's what that is telling us. So, and they use it because of the revenue generation and meeting other obligations that we citizens require. The difference between tax avoidance and tax legal terms: one is tax avoidance, one is tax evasion. So one is legal from, if you see my screen, one is legal, one is illegal. Tax avoidance is legal. This is a practice of legally minimizing tax liabilities by exploiting existing laws, tax laws, and loopholes. It makes use of available deductions, exemptions, and incentives that are allowed. So what is this is saying to us is To every law, there's a saying that to every law there is always an exception. So in the tax law, even though governments um, made all these tax laws, there are some loopholes that are legal, and if you are law abiding or you are conversant with it, you can use it, you can latch on it to get incentives, to get exemptions, to get deductions. So you can approach the tax law with the mind of avoiding it. That's, you can avoid paying some things if you have proper information. So the major emphasis here is legal. It is a legal means, and you cannot do it without proper information or documentation. So please, let's bear that in mind. The other is the opposite, tax evasion. When you evade tax, it is illegal. It is a fraudulent means or fraudulent act. This includes under-reporting income. So you are making 10 naira. You say, no, because the waiting government they do for me safe, make I declare 2 naira. That is tax evasion. Inflating deductions, concealing assets, or falsifying financial records. So the plenty jargon is it is illegal. We should not be caught doing it. People have been doing it before, but this new era, there's no how you can escape if you are bent on doing tax evasion. So please let us be guided. The type of taxes, direct taxes. This is a type of tax imposed on the income of a taxpayer, and the incidence of such tax falls directly on the payer. So let me just cite an example. Example of this direct tax is a personal income tax. Personal income tax is the same thing as our payee that we normally pay as you earn, that we as entrepreneurs we deduct from our staff or even us ourselves. So when we have a business, we pay ourselves, and at the same time we pay our staff. So the tax that is deducted from people's salaries, people's emoluments, is the personal income tax, or payee, as you want to look at it. So that's an example of direct tax. The indirect taxes are taxes like VAT, value added tax. If we go, an example of it is when we go to any eatery, Mr. Big, no, we don't even have Mr. Biggs again, most likely. Chicken Republic, what's this? The place when you buy jollof rice and plantain and chicken, if you check your receipts, you will see a tax there. One of the taxes that are there is consumption tax, that is value added. So the value added tax, this is what we call the indirect tax, because it is imposed on the consumption and production of goods and services. So it is when you purchase a service or you render a service, that is when VAT is charged on on the cost of it. It runs both ways. So you are giving a service, you charge VAT. You are receiving a service. I started an example of Chicken Republic. A VAT is charged by Chicken Republic on that food that they sold to you. All this shall be explained during the discussion. The next slide, please. So this next slide is talking about the Nigerian tax system. So the three previous slides that I discussed, or the two previous slides that I discussed, are majorly talking about the past or what we are operating now. This new one, the Nigerian tax overview, is taking effect in January, on 1st of January 2026. That's what we've been told. So there were taxation structure. We have, like I defined initially, taxation. There are three arms of government initially that collect taxes. The first one is the federal, the second one is the states, that each and every one of us reside or do our businesses, and the local government. So we have taxes that are peculiar to each of the arm of government, that the three arms of government that I mentioned. So for the key regulatory bodies, for the federal taxes, So the Federal Inland Revenue administers and is in charge of that. For the state taxes is an example of state tax is the personal income tax, the payee that I mentioned. The different states board of internal revenue services are responsible for that. Then we have the local government, our parking, our burial, our dustbin, those are some of the taxes that falls under local government. So those are the key regulatory bodies that are in charge of each taxes in the three arms of government. So let's start to talk about the first one. So the first one is the value added tax. The brief definition of it is, like I mentioned earlier, is the tax on goods and services with specific exclusions for rent and related transactions. So there has been so much improvement on what we have in the tax law prior to January 1st that we are entering. The government have deemed it fit to improve. Please note, there are no new laws or new tax law was enacted. Every law was just improved on, either expanded, restricted, or improved. There was no new law. With all the laws that are pertaining to tax were what we've had before, prior to January 1st. So there has been improvement majorly. That's what that is. So value added tax, as we've defined it, the date of filing and penalties of each tax is the last column that you are seeing there. So for value added tax, as a company or as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, 21st of the following or the subsequent month. So for example, if you sell goods and services and you've collected VAT on it, today is 29th of November. So you are supposed to remit the VAT that you've collected in October. You are supposed to have remitted it by 21st of November. That's what that place is saying. So 21st of the following or subsequent. So the VAT for October should have been remitted by 21st. So the new law is saying that they've improved on the penalties. So before, it used to be 5,000 naira if you don't file that VAT returns. We call it filing of the VAT returns. Whether you make sale or you don't make sale, you are supposed to file the VAT, value added tax. So what the new law is saying now is the improvement on this one is because the rate is still 7.5%. However, the penalties have been increased due to the reality of time. So the new law is saying the 100,000. So if you have not filed, for example, for October as at 21st of November, October filing as at 21st of November, you are entitled to pay as a penalty 100,000 in the first month. That's you are owing government 100,000 as we are talking now of the in the first month of default, and 50,000 in subsequent months. So if you don't file it by December, that's October returns, you are owing government additional 50. So by the time you close this year, 31st of December, you are owing government 150,000 naira just in the space of 2 months. So you can see the reason why we need to be conversant with the laws, be ready and do the right thing at the right time. Then, if you are a business, you are supposed to register for VAT. If you are a limited liability company, you are supposed to register for VAT. 5 million for awarding contracts to individuals. That's one of the penalties to individuals or entities that are not registered for tax. So if they do business with somebody when no register in being with Federal Inland Revenue, because that's the harm that is saddled with collecting this VAT. Even you that you did business with somebody like that, you will pay this 5 million naira fine. How much profit do we make that will now be subjected to 5 million naira? So the reason to do the right thing at the right time. The next tax is withholding tax. A withholding tax is an income tax paid to the government by the payer of the income rather than by the receiver of the income. withholding tax deductions are most times referred to as advanced income payments. That is, this type of tax, you majorly see it on rents, on dividend for those of us that maybe deals that have stock or shares. So, or royalties if you are into real estate and stuff like that. So that's example of where the examples of where this tax normally feature. So as in VAT, the date of filing and penalty as in VAT above. Penalty is between 10 to 40% of the amount not deducted or remitted plus penalty. So it's not only that you'll be subjected to the penalty alone, you'll be subjected to interest at prevailing rates on top that penalty. So assuming you will remit 10 naira when you're supposed to remit it, the same date that VAT is supposed to be remitted, you will pay that 10 naira. You will pay between 10 to 40%, depending on the level of transaction. You pay on top of that 10 naira. Then you will now pay the interest, whether it's 25 or 23% on top that penalty. So you can see, say, matter, it gets K-leg if we are not doing the same thing. So please, I implore us, let us do it. It is more convenient to do it right at the beginning than getting into trouble with governments or their agencies. Personal income tax, we've talked about it briefly. It is the tax that is deducted or taken from the personal income tax can be described as income tax payable for any year of assessment upon the chargeable income of an individual. So any salary is supposed to be any salary supposed to be subjected to PAYE. Then we can see the penalty on it. Capital gains tax. This is a tax that is charged on the profit when you dispose a house, a car, any assets whatsoever. There are limits. So we can, if time permits, or we can discuss that. Company income tax. Yes, this is when your company has made profits. Government expects you to pay 30% of on the profits. On the profits, please note, development levy, 4% companies accessible profits. So next slide, please. We have to rush because of time. State and local taxes. So we've described what taxes falls under the state and the local government taxes. So this pay graduated scale that I put here is a new graduated scale. So you don't need to worry your head. How do I know how much to deduct from my staff that is earning either 70,000 or 100,000 or whatever amount? The government has made it simple. That's why they gave us this. If you log online and go and log on to this website, you will see the calculator and you will be able to calculate what pay or what tax you are supposed to charge on the salary. So the next slide, please. The new Nigeria Tax Acts. So, like I said, there were 4 acts that were enacted. The Nigerian Tax Act, the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, the Joint Revenue Board Act. So these 4 acts were enacted, but the one we are concerned or we are particular about now or we're discussing now is the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. So the effective date is 1st of January 2026. These are some of the significant changes or reform that are embedded in the new tax reform, the company income tax. So let me emphasize this because for the benefit of those that may not be hearing one or two things around and are not clear. So government is magnanimous enough now to say, before we used to tax poor people, but now we are not taxing them like that again. However, if your company, whether partnership, sole proprietorship, is making the turnover that you are making. Turnover is the same thing as sales, it's the same thing as revenue. You are making is 100 million naira and below in a year, you will not pay any tax. Note, if your turnover, revenue or sales is 100 million naira and below in any financial year, that's between January and December, for example, any 12 months period, or your total fixed assets, any asset that you have, land, machinery, cars, that you are using for the business is 100 million naira, that's the turnover is 100 million, or the asset is 250 million and below, you are exempt from CIT, CGT, and development levy. Simplified and business-friendly capital allowance regime too. So that's one of the gains of this of this new reform. However, for the mere fact that they said you are not paying tax does not mean you will not file. If you don't file, you will still pay penalty. If you don't file at the appropriate time, you will still pay penalty. Capital gains tax is also the same thing, is a progressive tax. So if you are exempted from company income tax because you are earning, your turnover is less than 100 million, definitely you are exempted, as stated, you're exempted from CGT, you're exempted from development levy. Personal income tax, I've already included the table. Individuals earning 800 or less per annum, 12 months, in 12 months, if your salary is not up to 800,000 naira or is 800,000 naira and below, government says you are paying zero tax going from with effect from 1st of January 2026. So then value added tax, they retained it. So now another improvement on it is that the following items are now exempt from VAT: basic food items, medical and pharmaceutical products, educational books and materials, electricity generation and transfer, tuition fees, school fees, that's the meaning. They are all exempt. So no school should charge VAT on the school fees of 50,000 naira. They don't charge VAT of 7.5. No, from 1st of January, that is not allowed. Government has said no VAT on all those things that I put down. So another advantage is they are curbing, on what we defined initially, they are curbing evasion and moderating avoidance. Withholding tax, so I've put a table there. That's an abridged table, it's not the full table. I just picked some items that are peculiar to majority of us business owners or entrepreneurs, as we may call ourselves. So the other one, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next one. We've talked about it. So the tax planning strategies for success. So the era has gone. I don't know what they are saying. I don't understand it. There is no excuse in law. There's no ignorance. There's no excuse. So we need to be conversant. We need to be aware. We need to be educated about whatever, like I said, whatever affects our businesses definitely will impact us in one way or the other. And we should ensure that it impacts us in the positive way. So these are the tax planning strategies for success. What do? You choose the right business structure. Am I okay with sole proprietorship? Am I okay with partnership? Or I want my company to go to limited liability company. That's what what is meant by company, a limited liability company. Then you leverage on available tax incentives. Pioneer status is erased now. Anyway, it has been modified. MSME, medium and small exemptions, take advantage of deductible expenses, maintain proper books and hire a tax advisor. I mentioned it initially. Now, it's not a matter of this receipt is not relevant. You keep all receipts. Stay up to date with changes in tax law. We have to read everything readable, especially with tax. So the next slide, please. Thank you. This is what else we can do to help our business. We have to create awareness. We ourselves as business owner, a necessity is, I stress that, a necessity is placed on you as a business owner to be up to date, because you cannot give what you don't have. If you don't understand, there's no how you can explain to either your staff or your customer or your clients. So you need to be aware. Think beyond the implications, sensitize both management and staff. The onus lies on us as business owners. Set up tax risk registers to assess overall impact, monitor and trace your exposures. So if here all documentation matters. Engage stakeholders, tell your staff, tell your employees, tell your vendors, tell your clients. Let them know as each tax level or that applies to each and every one of them, because everybody has the one that is applicable to them. Leverage on technology. You have to now technology, you can't there's no how you can run away from it. So we need to get that. Operationalize and implement process. Develop workflows, checklists, timing, alerts, so that you know what is happening per time. Then you regularly monitor official communications, information circulars, milestone reporting, and updates. Next slide, please. Sorry, we are rushing because we need to meet with time. Must do's for businesses. These are what you cannot afford not to do. So it is a must. Register as a tax agent. We mentioned the implication of not registering as a tax agent or doing business with somebody that is not registered as a tax agent, and get your team. This is very simple. You walk into any FIRS. Now it is FIRS. By January, it will be, that's Federal Revenue Service. That's one of the laws that I read. It is now going to be by January, Nigerian Revenue Service. It will not be NRS or State Board of Internal Revenue. Walk into any one of them or go online. You can access, you can get your TIN, get a TIN. That's tax identification number for your business. Deduct the applicable taxes with the applicable rates. Remit on or before the due date. We've explained that. Remember, no excuse or ignorance in law. The monthly or annual filing as applicable. I mentioned that too, for the mere fact that you are exempted from tax, or as a small business, or as a personal, as a staff that is not earning up to 800,000 naira a year, does not mean you should not file. You should file monthly, annual, as it is applicable to you or your business. Penalty for non-filing, 50,000 naira and 25,000 naira subsequent months. Then don't assume exemptions, claim them legally. Tax authorities can now cross-match data with banks. This is very important because majority of us, the notion is, it is what I tell them that they will believe. No, that era is going by 31st of December. Even as at now, every of your business accounts, as long as you have a BVN or you have an NIN, unless you don't have those two, that's when you are okay. But as long as you have those two, either of the two, either BVN or NIN, your account is open and can be acceptable by the tax authority. So always treat tax notification as urgent. So please, if you receive any letter or information or request from them, don't put it aside and say they don't come with their wahala. No, they talk like that. Make sure you go, see them, ask questions, and they will tell you the reason for whatever. So please always treat it, all the notifications that you receive from every tax body or tax regulatory body, NRS or State Board of Internal Revenue, as urgent. Next slide, please. So the common tax mistakes businesses make: failure to register for tax, late or incorrect filing, not remitting VAT, withholding tax or payee properly, ignoring tax authorities' notifications, inadequate documentation and record keeping. Please, every other thing I've said, but this last one, inadequate documentation and record keeping, it is what will save majority of us this coming year. It is very essential. The benefit of tax compliance, because majority of us will always say, what is government doing for me? I'm the one paying my house electricity. I repair my road. I do my water. I do my, all these things are what they've improved on, that they don't want us to have any complaint so far again. So that's why we need to work hand in hand with governments to realize this objective, that government should do what they are supposed to do and you will be able to hold them accountable. So these are some of the benefits of being compliant: legal protection and avoidance of penalties, eligibility for government contracts and grants, improve business reputation and credibility, boost credibility with institutions, banks, investors, and grant providers. So if you don't pay your tax, if you go and approach a bank for a loan or grant or subsidy or whatever, and you are not a tax
Hi,
paying agent.
Olasemi.
Yes, yes. Hello?
Oh, we lost you for a second. I was trying to see if you were still there. Your network hung for a bit.
Oh, sorry. So what was the last statement you heard from me, please?
The last statement you made was, if you don't pay your tax, was the last thing you said.
Okay, so if you want to approach a bank or a credit institution for loan or grants, if you are not a tax paying agent or tax paying company, there's no how they can verify your credibility. That's what that place is saying. So that's one of the benefits of tax compliance. So that is, it boosts credibility with institutions. They are, when banks or investors see you as you have proper tax clearance certificate that is issued by the regulatory body, they are a bit okay than with you than somebody that does not pay or does not have tax clearance certificate. That's what that place is saying. So, um, role of a tax practitioner: as you are reading, if you don't have any clue or you don't understand sometimes, your tax advisor can tell you, okay, this is how to do it so that you don't run foul of the law. Or no, you are as a if, for example, if you are into agriculture, the law is magnanimous enough again to say agric products, agric manufacturing and agric, they are tax exempt. So you don't pay, they are not subject to taxation. If you are not um, conversant with that, you can still go ahead and be paying tax. Meanwhile, government have said you shouldn't pay tax. So those are the functions, or those are the duties of your tax advisor in accordance with your own too, as in you should be conversant with the regular law. But in case you don't understand, that's why you need a tax practitioner. Bar and Co is, I mentioned, our firm is always ready to engage you further on that, guiding proper business registration, ensuring accurate tax computation and filing, advising on tax planning and strategy, representing businesses in tax audits and disputes. Those are some of the duties or role of a tax practitioner. So, like I said in the first slide, or the second slide, that I mentioned, that apart from tax, there are some other requirements that work hand in hand with this tax that we are all looking forward to the implementation in January. Some of them are the pension remittance. So as you are deducting pay for your staff, you are supposed to remit their pension too. So I discussed, or I defined pension, a contributory statutory scheme from both private and public sectors. To qualify for registration, as long as your staff is more than three, you are mandated. It's not optional, please. It is not optional. You are mandated to register for pension, to register your staff for pension and deduct and remit. Pension is calculated at minimum of 18% of staff emoluments between employees and employer, or employer only. What that space is saying is, the law says you cannot go below 18%. Staff emolument is staff salary. So 18% of that staff salary should be paid as pension. So the staff can pay 8% of the salary. You deduct it from, as a business owner or as an employer, you deduct 8% of the salary, and you you pay as an employer, you pay 10%. So the total is 8 plus 10, 18. Or if you are buoyant enough, you can pay the whole 18 of the staff salary to government. So the staff does not need to pay anything. That's what that place is saying. That's what that statement is saying. Registration of employees with PFA and group life insurance. So PFA is still pension. That's a pension fund administrators. We have some of them. You can go online, you see them, licensed pension fund administrators and group life insurance. So all of them work hand in hand. To be deducted, that's pension, is to be deducted and remitted within 5 days of salary payment to avoid penalties. Then the body that regulates this pension is PENCOM, and the certificates for most businesses, the certificates are necessary for you to get either majority of government job, if not all, or some private with some private institutions. So if you don't have that pencom, majority of them will not give you, they will not even look your side. If they collect your documents, it's just for looking sake. Immediately they don't see these documents there, they throw your paper aside. So some of us might be wondering, and I put in for that bid, I put in for that tender. They didn't even contact me. It might be that the statutory document that the law requires them to have, to look out for in your documentation, you don't have it. Hence, they can't deal with you. Remember, they cannot run foul of the law because there are penalties to pay on their part. So it's not only about you. So that's the need for you to do the right thing. NSITF, like I mentioned in the second slide, was Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, is one of the requirements of the law too. That's the 1% of annual gross salary to be deducted and remitted from annual gross salary. That's what that place is saying. To be deducted from to be paid by the employer, not to be deducted from the employee's salary, to be deducted, to be paid by the employer. It's the employer that pays this. The same thing with ITF, that's Industrial Trust Fund. So who we have, please, the next slide, please. Hello. Is it okay? That's who we are. BAO, that's our firm, audit and tax practitioner. We are into consultancy too. We're a firm of seasoned professional accountants and tax practitioners set out to offer tailor-made advice and services to suit clients' requirements. Our services are listed there: accounting, assurance, tax regulatory services, technical advisory. We can be reached on by email info@baoandco.com, and our telephone number is as written there. Next slide, please. Yeah, the next slide. Conclusion. Tax is not a burden, but a strategic tool for business success. We've stated that. We can now overemphasize that it is for the benefit of both the government and ourselves. We should understand, we should plan, and we should comply. Those are the three things that we need to do. Understanding it, we need to plan our businesses for the new era, and we should comply. Partner with experts to stay ahead. Thank you. I hope I stayed within the time limits. I can now entertain questions.
Thank you so much, Olateju, for that submission. Yes, you can give her a round of applause. It's not easy to have been, I mean, but then this is your project, this is what you do. So you were very, very, you broke it down for every single one of us. May I have my own first question before but maybe I should leave my question. No, I can preempt the question, which is number one, the income. I mean, I'm at a loss because if I'm paying income tax on my salary, when I go to buy food at the restaurant down the road, why am I still paying tax on it? Because they're already taking tax from my money. Like, so that's because you will collect that. There's some restaurants that I would not go to because the few times I've gone, the taxes they were giving me, it was just hitting me left, right, and center. You know, you check online for how much their menu is, right? And you're like, oh, it's 20K for a plate of maybe amala, right? If you want to go to the highbrow, if you don't want to go to Yabose down the road, that's the right. So if you go to the highbrow restaurant, you went there with 20K in mind, 20K for the amala. I will buy Coke I'll buy a drink for 2,000 naira. That's 22,000 naira. By the time I brought the bill, it was like 35K. And I want to what have I paid for? Because the money I'm using to buy this thing is the one that I've paid, is my income. Is the salary I got. And you have already collected tax on it. Why are you not collecting tax again from that? That's my question before we now go into the other questions.
Okay, so like I mentioned, different agents collect different taxes. Even though the government has really, before we used to have like 80 something types of taxes, but now they are less than 20. So they've compressed it. So nobody harasses anybody for unnecessary tax, all those does mean and all the stuff. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no. So, however, each each arm of government, so federal is responsible for collecting the VAT, value added tax, on
Mm-hmm.
all goods and services, except for the ones that are exempted. Food is one of them. Consumption tax on your bill, you will check. Majority of the states now are collecting consumption tax. That is state tax. There's nothing anybody can do about it. The state has jurisdiction to collect the tax, and they fix the taxes, the rates. So there's nothing you can do about it. You don't have any influence on that. However, that is different from your payee. That is when your salary is paid, or before your salary is paid, there is a certain percentage that your employer will remove, or you as a business owner is mandated to remove and remit to your state board of internal revenue. For example, we are in Lagos. I am in Lagos, so I remit my paying to Lagos Internal Revenue, LIRS. So each state collects payee on salaries. So the other one that is left for you, you decided to go to the eatery to go and chop. That is your own cup of tea in the
Wow,
face of
wow, wow.
government.
I like you. Okay. I'll take it, but let's just take these questions because we're already running out of time.
Okay.
Somebody asked, is asking, Ifa Chuku is asking, she said, before we get to the hands that are raised, please write your questions in the chat box, please, so that we'll take your questions. Please, if you are doing food business, do you need to register for VAT collection when food items are VAT exempt? That's what Ifa Chuku is asking.
Yes, you need to register for as a VAT agent. Like I said, you might qualify for VAT exempt, but that does not exonerate you from filing your VAT returns.
Hmm. Okay. I hope that answered Ifane's question. Next up, we have, before I get to the hands, because these questions had come in already, how should businesses that operate both online and physically navigate tax requirements across multiple locations? This person is Marvel from Magboro.
Yes, Mabel. So wherever you are doing business, as long as you reside here and you earn the salary from wherever, that salary is subject to tax in your country of residence. That's number one. However, if if the company you are working for is in, for example, UK, and you are recruited here, the company is residing in UK. UK has what we call DTA, double treaty agreements with Nigeria. So if your income is subject to tax in Nigeria, it will not be taxed in the UK. If it has been taxed in the UK, it will not be taxed in Nigeria. But you must submit documentation.
Documentation. Okay. All right, thank you. I hope that Marvel is okay with that answer. Tare from Ikeja is asking, how do the new tax policies affect online businesses, influencers, and content creators who earn across multiple platforms? Hi, Olateju.
Yes,
Hi,
please.
Okay, we lost you for a second. Okay. How do the new tax policies affect online businesses, influencers, and content creators who earn across multiple platforms? Hi, Olateju. I hope it is not my network.
The same answer is what I will give. Yes, the
Okay,
same answer is what I will give,
okay.
that everything is subject.
Hi, Olateju. We seem to have lost your. Okay. Are you back now? You're back, yes. Okay, not yet. Hi, Olateju.
Sorry. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hello. Yes.
We can hear you
Every
now.
income is subject to.
Hmm. Maybe you should turn off your video because it could be that that's why it keeps stripping off. Hi, Ola, please confirm. Hi, Olateju. Anyway, if you're just joining us this evening, we consign tax on the Women Radio Network. Yes, I can see that Olatejo has been asked to turn off her video just so that we can continue the conversation. And today's topic really is about taxes. Taxes. And by virtue of the questions that we are seeing, we're seeing that, yes, people are, this tax thing, they hit everybody left, right, and center. She's been speaking on building a better business in the new tax era. And because the 2026 tax reforms is literally upon us, that is why this conversation is necessary, to be able to give constituents the tools to be able to know what to do with their businesses. Hi, Olateju, are you back? Yes, you are. Okay. All right. You were answering. You're muted though. You're muted. Olateju, you're
Oh,
muted.
sorry. Okay. Sorry about
All
that.
right.
Thanks for
So
standing in.
yeah, so the
Yes.
question, yeah, you were
Every
going to ask the
income,
question.
every income is subject to tax,
Okay.
as whether it is derived in Nigeria
Okay.
or the company is, whether you as the staff is resident in Nigeria or the company is resident or not resident in
Okay.
Nigeria. So yes,
All right.
offline, online or offline,
Offline.
as you want to put it. Yes.
Okay. Somebody's also asking if you could provide the current address of LIRS in Ikorodu. He or she says they stay in Odoguyo.
Hello.
Somebody's asking where the current address of the LIRS office
Yes.
in Ikorodu. Do
I
you
don't
purchase?
have that, but the person
Okay.
can log online and
And
LRS.
check.
The beauty of LRS now is they are online and they are is real time. I can tell you that. So they've digitalized their system. So
Okay.
any question you want to ask, somebody will chat with you
Right.
immediately. You log on to their yes, please.
Okay. Also, we have another question. As a newly registered business, when do you start filing VAT returns? That's from Ifeanyi.
The month you start business,
Okay.
whether you've made any sale or not, you can file nil returns. So yes,
Okay.
the very month business kickstarts. Yes.
That's when you can start filing,
You
right?
start with immediate effect. Yes, yes.
Okay. Any more questions? You can still drop your questions, even though we are currently running out of time. But it's been such an insightful and empowering session that we've had today with you. Many thanks to you, Olateju Titilayo Oyelakun, for breaking down the complexities of today's tax environment and showing us how to build stronger, smarter, and more compliant businesses. Before I go, I wanted to ask, and I know you sort of touched on it, these 2026 tax reforms, because that's everybody is afraid.
No,
Is this something to be extremely afraid of?
please,
I know you mentioned
no,
earlier that. Okay, please go
no,
ahead.
please. Nobody should be afraid of
Okay,
anything. Like I said at the beginning of the meeting, tax is not vindictive, but we should endeavor to do the right thing. And
yeah,
one of the things or one of the steps, like I mentioned, is our documentation.
okay,
We should be documenting and we should read. So we should not discard anything. We should not be on WhatsApp and just browsing and looking at gist and everything that concerns our business. We should take it
Mhm.
serious because that is how the economies that we look up to, so to say, that's abroad that we look up to. That's how they developed. That's how they are where they are. Majority of their, in fact, 60% of every government's revenue comes from taxes. and it is because the people are paying. That's where their economies are working. So government is saying, okay, we will give you a leeway if your business is not up to, so that they encourage small businesses like
Mm-hmm.
us to grow. By the time we grow, we are comfortable. We won't find it difficult to remit tax. So we should not be
Okay.
afraid of tax as long as we are doing the right thing. And
Okay.
we should be conversant with information and documentation. That's
And
just it.
documenting. Thank you so much once again, Olateju. I mean, today has been quite insightful, like I mentioned, and very, very impactful. To all our participants online and offline, on radio, remember that this new tax era, like Olateju has said, is not something to be afraid about. It's an opportunity, and businesses that understand the rules keep proper financial records. And I know that, and Olateju mentioned this, that, oh, you say, oh, what are they using our money for? It's better to be on the right side and just leave it as it is than to not pay your taxes. And you know, when they come and they come down on you, it's always very, very, it's a crazy situation, for lack of a better word. So it's better to just, they said, caution on the side of error, be error on the side of caution. I'm not sure how it is said,
Yes.
but it's just
Fair
best
on the kind of portion.
yes, be on the side of caution, so that you know that, oh, your books are all complete, your taxes are complete, so that if they come and check your books, you're not running from pillar to post wondering how you're going to pay the fines that they've placed upon you. So your call to action right now is that you could review your business structure, like Olatejo has said, and make sure that it aligns with the current tax laws. And remember, she said that the moment you start a business, make sure you register it. Don't wait till, oh, I was waiting to see whether the business is going to pick up. No. Make sure your financial records are accurate and they're updated as per second, because compliance begins with good bookkeeping. It's not just for the tax people, but it's for yourself to even know
Yes.
how your business is growing. You can
Yes.
keep track of that. And then if you need expert tax guidance, that's why you have Olateju here. And she has mentioned how you can reach her at BAO and Co. You can reach out to them for their services, ask them, and all of that. Don't wait for the penalties to come. Or you see that we're anten more, yes, and then make sure you apply the practical steps that Olateju has shared today to secure your business's future in this ever evolving tax landscape. Once again, many thanks to you, Olateju, for coming on the show.
Thank
That's
you
because
very much.
Mondays through Fridays, I'm talking on the show. Yes. Also, don't forget that Women Radio Network. This is what we do. Marvelous. Please, if you can insert in the chat box out the link so people can have it, or give it to their friends and partners so they can join the Women Radio Network. This is something we're talking about. Join us, so that you can be up to date on everything about your life, basically, financially or otherwise. Okay, until next time, this is Ulfumilayo Bangala signing off. Stay compliant, stay informed, and keep building businesses that matter and that last. Once again, many thanks to you, Olateju.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much
much for having
for
me.
coming on
Thank
the
you.
show. All right. Enjoy the
Enjoy
rest
the
of your
rest
evening.
of the same here. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Do not forget that this is Women Radio Network and we have our radio station WFM 91.7. So be a partner with us, listen to us all day, every day. Everything that we do is we have women in focus. All right. Happy New Month in advance. Merry Christmas in advance as well. All right. God bless and bye.